All right. Welcome to Vikas web channel. My name is Vikas and I'm back again with another video. And this time, as you can see on the screen here, it's Node.js. So we are now starting our backend journey. Many of you have been requesting me to do Mon project, and I wanted to first cover at least the basic part of Node.js, build couple of routes, test routes, and then only jump into the full stack or Mon project. So this will be a 101 video for Node, and if you are in the process of learning it, then this is the video probably you are looking for. So in this video, I will only toss the necessary element that you need to start. I'm not going to go deep in what is Node, how it works, single thread, multi-thread, and all this kind of thing, because trust me, when you are learning, when you are in the beginning phase, understanding basic is important. I'm not denying that. However, it might take you in a deep loop that you don't want to be in. So that's why this video is for you. In a way fast, but still I will cover everything you need. If you think this is interesting for you, smash the like button, as well as if you are new to this channel, feel free to subscribe this channel and also click on that notification bell icon. That way you will be notified when I upload new videos, because new videos are coming more and more. So let's start the video. So first thing first, what is Node.js? Well, you can already see .js. That means you can assume it's a JavaScript thing, and it's written here. It's a JavaScript runtime built on Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine. You can click this and check what does that mean. However, in short, all you need to know is you can do JavaScript outside the browser. That's all I think you need to know here. And to start this project, you have a couple of things you need to know, or you need to have it in your desktop, laptop, whatever you are using. So first thing, please install latest version of Node. I will recommend you to use this stable version. That's most thing, and it's also written here, recommended for most users. And also today we will be using code editor, and that will be Visual Studio Code. It's free. This Node.js is also free. And then there is Postman, which we will need to make API requests. So I will recommend you to also install it. And Node.js, you can install it just a simple way, npm way, or you can also use NVM, that is Node Version Manager. Maybe in the beginning you don't need it, but if you are working backend, and then if you have a lot of different version of Node going on, obviously you will want to have some sort of version manager, and that's where NVM comes. Maybe I will make a separate video in future, but this time, even if you don't have NVM and you are installing this for the first time, it's okay. You can just install this Node. Once you install the Node.js, try to click or check everything so that it will automatically install everything, every tools, every packages it requires. And then all you can do is node and -v, and this way you can see it is this Node version, and there is already 16.15 and I have 16.14, and I don't know, depending on when you will be watching this video, the version might be different. However, you can also update it, but I will keep it like this because I have a Node version manager, so I will use that whenever I like to. Let's create a directory, and I will just call it Node 101. Okay, let's go inside that folder. So let's just do Node 101. And because I already have VS Code installed, so all I need to do is go dot, and it will automatically open VS Code and take me inside this folder. So here we are inside VS Code, and we just have this empty folder. We don't have anything. So first thing, let's just go and let's create a file. I'll just name it app.js. You can also give it index.js. It's up to you. And you can see we just have a JavaScript file. Until now, it's everything that you would be doing with your normal JavaScript. Okay, we can just do console log, and we can see this is our first node. Or is it? Okay, we don't know. So how to run this? Well, let's open the terminal. All you can do to run this is node and then give the name of the file. And this way you have, this is our first, it's printed. Similarly, we can also do more steps. Let's just say we have a loop, and I want to print it for 10 times, or actually, yeah. And then I just do I++, and I have this, and I will just say the value of I, and then I will have I. Now I will save this, and we have to again do node, and you can see it's all printed here. As you can see, this is just a JavaScript file. So when you hear Node.js, you don't have to worry. If you know JavaScript, you are in a good hand. Okay. So to make it a little bit interesting and more like a server, and also to install more packages and so on, we want to initialize this folder so that it can accept all the packages. And to do that, you already need to have npm. Usually when you install Node, it is there. If not, you can install separately. And then all I need to do is init, and I just need to enter. Okay, so now it's asking me a couple of questions. First thing, it wants package name. We can just give this. We can even do server, however you like to call it. I can give 101. And version, I can just enter description. I don't need to give any description. And entry point, that means which folder do you want it to be as the entry point, I mean which file. So we have app.js, we can give that. Additionally, we can also do index.js if we have it, but I will just leave it like that. And we don't have any test command, we don't have any git repo, we don't have any keywords, and we don't need to give any author. We can also give because web. And then license is okay. Is this okay? Yes. And with that, you will see we have package.json. So here we have package.json, and here we can also edit all this manually, and we have a script. So let's change this script, okay, to have a start. And then instead of this, we can do the same thing that we have been doing, node app.js. Remember, that's what we were using earlier. So we do that. And with that, if we save this file, and if I do same thing, now I can do npm start or npm run start, and then you can see we are getting the same thing what we got earlier with our node app.js. So that's good. So now let's give it a little bit more like a server. Okay, so for that, let's go here, and you can see this we can basically copy and paste it. So let's go here, let's just go and copy and paste it. Okay, so with this we will be creating our first server. So we have http that we are getting from http, that is inbuilt. We don't need to install it separately. And then we have our host name. We can also give it localhost, it doesn't matter. The port 3000. I'm not so sure if 3000 is available in my case, so I will just change it to 3001. And then we are creating a server. So we have const server, and we are using this http, and from there we get the server. And the server is always having two arguments, that is request and response. Request is whatever we get, response is we use to response back. So how this server works in general is we get some request and we respond to that request. Okay, so we are getting requests from somewhere, okay, using our any endpoints saying, hey, I need this. There is a request, and then based on what is the request, can we fulfill or not, we will send the response. Okay, so here you can see response is sent, and it is saying hello all. All right, so the status code is 200. That means it's successful. There are different kind of status code. For example, 403 means it's forbidden, 404 means it's not found, and so on. Okay, you can see and read about those status code later. Okay, and there is also content type, and this is just a text plain. We can also send JSON and so on. And now we are using this server which we created .listen. So that way we can listen the port, and then there is a port number, that is port, host name, this is the host name, that's a local host. Additionally, this is not even required. So if we just do like that, that's fine. And then server is running in this. All right. So now if we go and if we either do node app.js, then you can already see it says that server is running in this port. And let's go here, and if we go here and do local 3000, you see we are getting hello world. So this is our first server running with Node. Okay, we can change this and we can make it anything, hi world with because and I can save it. But every time you save it, you have to cancel this, and then you have to do this again. And now if I refresh here, you can see hi world with Picas web. All right, so this is our first server. However, we'll not use this way of creating server because I don't know, it's just too much work to handle everything. So we will use something called Express, and here is Express. So you can see we already have all these. We also did npm init. So next thing is we can install Express. So let's go here, and because we already have done npm init and we have this package.json folder, so we can install Express here. So let's just go here and let's paste it, and then you will see somewhere here Express. So we have now dependencies, and this is Express, and this is the version of Express. So with Express we can basically do the same thing, and then let's go and let's delete all of these, and we have now Express from our Express, and then we are just creating application. You can name it anything you want, and we are using Express. All right, so the next thing we want to define port. Just like before, we can also write the port manually. However, it's always a good practice because you can be changing it, and additionally you can also have it from your environment variable. So let's just give it port, and let's just give it 3001. And now all we can do to handle this is we can do app.listen, and then we can give it a port, and then we can have console log. We can say app is running in port, and then we can pass the port number. All right, so with this app equals to Express, this is almost the same under the hood as HTTP create server and so on. We don't need to do all those, and then we can do this. And now we need to again run this. We can do node app.js, or we can just do npm start, and you can see app is running in port 3000. However, if we go here now, okay, 3000, it just says cannot get because we don't have anything there. So let's try to create our first route. Okay, so now create a first route. So what is route? Route is a point where the request is made. It is made using either Postman or using any front-end JavaScript. So, you know, when you are making, even when you are calling website, you are always making a get request. Okay, so we can also do get request from browser. So that's the request we are doing. So let's just go here and let's just say here app.get. So we are creating get request. There are several type of requests. Get to get something, and there are also post to post something, and then put, and there is also patch, it is to update, and then we have delete, that is definitely to remove or delete. So it is also called CRUD for a reason. C is create is same as post, and then R is remove or read, R is read, that is same as get, and then U is update, that is same as put, patch, and so on, and then D is delete or remove. Okay, so there are these 4 CRUD requests, and we can do that in application with this app. So let's just go here, app.get, and then this is a function or a method call from Express library. So here the first argument will be the path we are talking about. If we just have this is the home path, the main directory, and it takes a couple of things. You can see there is a request, and then there is also response. So let's just give req for request and res for response. All right, now this is just like an arrow function. So from here we can do several things. So let's just post console log request is made to this route. All right, and then we have to end this, and we can do rest dot. You can also end like this. If you remember earlier with our HTTPS approach, if we go here, there was this rest.end. We can do that, or additionally we can also just do rest.send, and it will automatically add, and we can just say hello all, we are here. Okay, so now when I save this, I have to rerun this again, and I rerun this again. Now if I go here, if I do something like this, you can see we are saying hello world, we are here, and I'm also console logging this, so that means we are printing this. Additionally, let's see what we can get in request. So request, let's print the request, let's kill this, and let's start it again, and then I will refresh it. We are getting the same message. However, here you can see we are getting tons of things here with our request console log. So let's try to see if we can make any sense. It seems like we cannot. So app is running and there is incoming message. So we have a lot of things here, we have a lot of event related thing. We have, I don't know, a ton of things. Many of these I even don't understand. There are headers and so on. We will go back to that again later when we are handling post. But for now, let's just handle few more route. So let's say we have a route and the route is called get users. You know, when we want to get users from our backend, usually we want to get all users. Okay, I will just we want to get all users, get, okay, and then we want to get only one user. We want to also add a new user, and then we want to update information for a user, and we want to delete users. So let's say we have a scenario, we want to do all this. Okay, first thing, we are getting all users. So let's go here, and then we want to create the same kind of route, and this is get, because we just want the data. We don't want to do anything in the backend related to data, but we just want to read it. So this is part of reading in the CRUD. Okay, so we can do it like this, and we can give it a route name /users. Okay, with this, because it's a plural here, users, and we will be getting all the data. We can also have request and response here, and then we can go here and then register send, and let's say we have an array of user, and inside here we have name, first name is Vikas, and then we have another user, and let's say, sorry, name is John. All right, we have two users, so we will be sending the data of two users. And you got me right, I have to restart this again. Soon I will show you how we don't need to restart this again and again, but for now let's just do the manual. Now if I go here, we are still getting the same data. However, if I go to users, you can see we have now two users, and we are getting array, and it says name and it says name. Obviously we can also see raw, but I have this some package here or some extension, so to make JSON data nicely. I think it was something JSON formatter, so you can install that, and that way it's easier for you to read this data. Okay, so we have now two users. That is done, and then instead of using this, let's try to create one variable here called users, and then for now let's just copy all this from here to here, and we can also additionally give ID. So this is ID1, and then this is ID2. Okay, so we have two users. Now instead of sending it here, let's do something like that, and then you guessed me right, I have to kill this and do it again, and then restart it. Now we have users with ID. Okay, so we want to have another route, and that is to get only one user. Okay, to get only one user here. The idea is, if I do users and if I do one, I should be getting only that user. Obviously now I'm not getting anything because we don't have that route. So let's go here, let's do app.get, because this is also get method. So we can do users, and then we can give ID. So you can have a colon and ID. Okay, and then we have the same thing, request and response. Okay, so first let's just do response something. I will just like to do this so that we are sending something and ending this request, because we always need to end the request. If you don't do this, then it will not end the request and it will stay as it is. So that's the reason. So for example, if I just have this empty here, so let's go to users. If I refresh here, you see it keeps on loading, it keeps on loading, and it keeps on loading. It is because we haven't ended, so server is not handling the request and not ending it. So that's the reason we have to always end it. Additionally, there is something called rest.end, but when you are doing rest.send, it does is it sends the data and it also ends the request. So that's why I am now just sending something so that we don't have that kind of empty state. Okay, so now when I do it, you can see it's responding something. That's good. Now let's check, and for that let's do console log, and the idea is I want to see request and params. Okay, so let's just do request, and there is something called params. So if I save it, it's just like in front end. In React we were doing params, so same thing here. And now let's kill this, let's start this, and if I do something like this, you can see here we are getting this request.params and we are getting it as an object, and there is ID. So we get the ID as 1, and just like in React, if we give this ID to user ID, and then if I refresh this, you will get it here user ID. So whatever you define it here, you will get the same thing. So for now, let's just go ID, and then now we can use that ID, and then we can send the data of only the user that we need to send. Okay, so for that, let's go here and let's just say user ID, or we can just even write ID here is request params.id. However, if you notice here, our ID is as a string and we need ID as number here. So for that, let's just go here and let's just do parse int. So let's parse this so that we will get this as a numerical value. All right, now we have ID. All we need to do is we can have only one user, and that user will be users.filter, or we can also find index, that's okay, but users.filter, and then we can do all user. However, we want u.id is same as the ID passed, and this will give us an array, but we want is the first object of array. So this is all good, and now instead of this we can pass the user. Now let's do like that, and now if I refresh this, you see I'm getting the user 1, and if I do 2, I'm getting user 2, and if I do 3, we are getting nothing because we don't have that and we are not handling that. So the next, let's handle the cases where if we don't have that user ID existed, we will return something. So let's say if we have user, then only we will send this. If not, that means else. We want to do rest.status. By the way, when we are doing rest.send, it's automatically sending status 200. That means it is successful. However, if we do status 404, that means it's not found. And then I can send it, and I can also do error, and I say user does not exist. Okay, this is a good practice. Additionally, you can also do JSON here, but for now let's just do send. And now if I kill this, I go here, you see it says error and user does not exist. So if we have 4, it says user does not exist, but if we have 1, we get the user. If we have 2, we get the user. Now we have already handled all users. We also handle how to get one user. Obviously, in real case scenario, instead of this, we will have a database. So when we are doing users, instead of getting users from here, we will make a query to our database and we will get all the users from there. we will filter all the unnecessary thing that we don't want to show in the front end, such as user's password and so on. And then we will handle the data and send it back to this request. Similarly, when we are getting users with ID, we will just go in our database, we will find user with ID. Again, we would like to hide everything that we don't want to show it, and then we will pass that. But for this video, we will not be dealing with database, at least not yet. We will do in future. So we just have this variable and we are handling data like this. Okay. So now to make it a little bit interesting, I will go to this one place called JSON placeholder. So here we go. And this is a fake API. Until now, we were used to doing this. So if you go inside users, we have all the users, just like how we had all the users inside our users here. And then here also, if you go and just type 1, for example, you will get only one user. So let's copy the data from this user. So this is an array. So let's copy everything from here. And then instead of this user, let's just go paste it. And because this is pretty big data, so I'll just hide it. I will save it, and then I will do npm start. And now if we go and refresh, we have basically have the same amount of users like this JSON placeholder had. So now if we go here, if we have 1, we will get 1. We have, I think, until 10 users, so there is 10. And if you go to 11, you can see user does not exist. That's perfect. Okay, so with that, we have all users done. We have get only one user done. So the next is add a new user. So let's go here, app.post, and then we want to post a new user. So the practice is we will still use users the same route. However, the method will be post instead of get. And we can do the same thing we did with our get request. So we have request and response, and for now I will just send something, and now you know why I'm doing this for now. And also one more thing, we don't want to continuously keep on restarting our server. So let's go here, and this is pretty good time to introduce you a new package, and that is called Nodemon. Okay, so what does a Nodemon does is every time we do some change and we hit save, so it will automatically restart our server for us. Okay, so that means let's go here, and then here we have now Nodemon. So let's use this Nodemon, and instead of using node app.js, I can just pass it Nodemon app.js, and then if I save, and then if I do npm start, or additionally I can also do Nodemon and then app.js, just like how we were doing with Node, but let's just use npm and start, and you can see we have now the port running because Nodemon is automatically watching it, and it will not only watch this file, but it will watch everything inside the folder, all the extensions, JS, MJS, JSON, and so on. And additionally, in future we can also give it more extension to watch. However, for our case, this is all enough. Okay, so now to show you something, let's say I want to change this something to something else. Okay, sorry for typo, something else. And if I save it, now I'm gonna hit save. So 1 2 3, and you can see it restarted. Again, I will save, it restarted. So this is the magic of Nodemon. So I recommend you to do it. I would have already done it in the beginning, but I just wanted to show you what is the hassle and how this Nodemon solves that hassle. Okay, we use it mainly in the development. In your production, you might be using something like packet manager like PM2, but for development purpose, Nodemon is pretty good. How to call this post method? Okay, we cannot just go here and do users, because this is our get method. Every time you are entering anything in your this web browser here in URL, it's making a get request. We can also verify that if we go here, and then if we go to network, and then if I refresh here, you see it is making a get request to this route. Okay, so that's our backend with users. But how to make a post request? Well, for that, there is a very nice tool called Postman. Okay, and it's a free tool. Obviously, they have also paid and so on. However, this is a free tool, and developers they use this to make a post request because either you have to do post request from your front end or you need to have something like this. There are also other different tools, but I like Postman, so I use it. In the Postman, you can just go here and then we have request, we can save and we can do a lot of things. But for now, let's just go here and you can see here we have get, we have post, we have put, we have pass, delete, and so on. So let's go and let's do the post request and we can just have, I already had this here, except this was 3001. Okay, so now if we go and if we send it, you see we are getting something else. That's good. However, until now we are using this exactly the same way we would be using our get method. But the idea of using post is to actually get some data from user. Okay, so let's get the data. So first thing first, let's try to do console log and let's do request.body and request.body. Okay, so the idea is when we are making this post request, we can send data in body. We cannot do that in get request. However, we can do that in post request. So that's the difference. Okay, so let's go here and let's save this and it will automatically restart that. And then let's go to body and let's do raw data and let's do JSON data here. So go here, select raw, go here, and then JSON. You can also use form and so on. And then this JSON data, we can send an object. And for now, it's just a test. So let's say we have a name and the name is because. That's all we want to pass now. So when I make a request, we get back and you can see this is also successful, 200. Okay. However, if I go here, the request.body is undefined. Okay, why is that? That is because originally, without doing anything, our Express cannot read the body and JSON data. Okay, so for that reason, we need to do some modification, and to do that modification, it is super simple, super easy. So somewhere here, use different middleware. Okay, so and let's just have app.use. We can use this use method and then pass middlewares there. Okay, for now all we need to do is express and then there is something called JSON. So we can pass something like this and this is a middleware, and in future we will be using a lot of middleware. So if app.use and we will be passing a lot of those. So now if we go here to our Postman, if we make a request, you can see magically we are getting this request here. So now with that we can handle. So how can we handle? Let's just go here and let's just make this users as like this users. Okay, so now what we can do, we are getting this, and then the first thing first, let's go to our Postman. So we can also have another request here, and then let's just copy this. Let's just go, let's just have a get request. You see we are also getting this request, the same thing that we got from browser earlier. And I want to show you also one more interesting thing. Let's just do 25 and you see we are getting 404 not found. Remember, that's the one we sent it when the user was not found. So this is the status code we sent. However, if we do 2, we are getting 200. Okay, and that's the status. So let's just use some of this user. I'll just copy one of the user here. Okay, and let's go to paste here and let's just pass here, and we cannot do ID, or we can do it, but in reality when you are posting data, you don't post the ID from front end, or when you make it, backend will automatically handle it. Maybe the database will create ID or backend will handle and it will generate ID. So let's just pass the name here and I will give the name because okay, everything else I will keep as it is because that's not something I'm so much interested about. And then here, instead of just printing this requested body, what I can do is I can just have a user new data. So let's just do ID. We can create ID. So let's say generate new ID, and we can do the ID using any randomized thing. But for now, all I want to do is I just want to create an ID based on the length of our array. ID will be whatever the length, users dot length, and then I will just do +1. Okay, so this is the ID. Now let's create a payload for posting new user, and then that can be payload. So this payload will have whatever we get from requested body, and then we will also have ID, and that ID will be this ID. Okay, now we have a new user, and then we can save this user to users.push and then payload. Okay, so this way we added this new user to our array, and then we can send user. Usually a best practice is just to send this payload, okay, but for our fun we can also console log. Anyway, let's just save it. So now let's go to our Postman here, and now if I save this, you see now we got like name and everything, and then we have ID 11. Now if I save another, we'll have ID 12. If I save another, we have ID 13. So this is how you can make a post request. You can add another user. Okay, so now if we want to only get users, let's see if we can get user or not. Okay, we have even new user, and that's good. And now we even have 11, and that is this because we added new user. Of course, this is a temporary data, and when we restart our server, all this data will be gone. However, you got the idea. Okay, so now you can see how we can add new data, and obviously you have to remember these are all temporary data because we are not saving it in a file. We are just saving there as a variable, and every time we restart our server, that variable or that saved data, the stored data is gone. So we will only have those 10 users, and everything else that we added will be gone. Okay, if you want to see that, all I need to do is just do Control S, and it will save it. And now if I go here, you see that user does not exist. However, if I go here and if I save it, now we have 11, and now if I go it, and you will see. Okay, so that's all. Now the next is update information for a user. All right, so this is also going to be a temporary because as I said, every time we save the data or restart the server will be restarted, and we will be only left with whatever we have inside this user's data. Let's go and let's change the user1 name from Lean to something else. Okay, so that's what we will be dealing with next. So let me go first here, and let's hide this. So now update, so update information, and for that we will do f.put, and also put will take different kind of data. So first thing first, let's use the same approach. So we have users, and we will also pass the ID because we need to know which users are we talking about. And then we have request, we have response, and we have almost the similar approach. And again, let's do something for now. We will be handling that later. So first thing first, based on this ID, just like how we had ID here, we can actually go here. So we can first get the ID, and we can have that ID. That is okay. The next is let's find the index of that user in users array. So to do that, let's just do index because we need to know which users are we talking about, and that will be find index user, and u.id is same as ID. So this way we will find the index of that users. Okay, so for this to make it easier, let's only update the username. Okay, so let's just go here, and then there is a name, so we will be only using this name. Okay, so let's go here, and then what we can do is we can get const name from requested body.name. We will pass the name in request body. Okay, and then if there is no name, we can also send some error, but let's not do that validation now. Okay, so how to update this? Okay, so we can create a temporary array, or actually we can directly go in users, and then we can use this index, so that will take us to that user, and then we can do name, and that name will be whatever the name we are doing here. And now we can just response that user back, and to do that all we need to do is users and then index. All right, so with that we are sending that user back. Let's save it. So now let's go to our Postman here. So first time, let's just go and let's get our user one. So initially the user one has name this, so let's go and let's create a new route, and that is update route. We have the same thing, we are also using users, we are also passing the ID of that user. However, in the body we go to raw, we have JSON here, and let's just copy this, and then let's have an object first, and we don't need this last. So instead of this lean, I will just change it to Picas web. All right, now let's send a request, and you can see the user one is changed, and then the name is Picas one. And now if you try to get this user, you will get the Picas web, and if you are trying to get all the users, you will see the user one is Picas web. Now if I go here and if I change it to Zondo, and if I make a request, yes, and now if we go and make a request here, you can see the data is Zondo. Again, I will repeat that this change is just a temporary change. Every time I hit save and the server restarts, the name will be whatever it was in our initial variable. The last thing remaining for this is we have to delete user. So we can use the same thing. We can have if, and then you have delete here, and then we can also do users, and we can also use ID. The same thing goes here, response, and then we need to handle the similar approach. Okay, so first thing, let's go and let's get the ID just like this. So we have users ID from request parents. Let's go and let's find that user. So first thing we can try here is we can see if that ID exists in our users or not. Okay, so let's say find index. So we can find index here. Okay, let's just go here and let's also use this. Actually, this is pretty good thing that I forget to tell you. So we can find index, and if index is smaller than 0, that means it is negative value, that means the user does not exist. In that case, we want to handle something that respond. We can give status, we can do 400 bad request, or additionally we can do 405. It's up to us. And then we can pass here error, and then we can say user does not exist. Okay, we can do this. And by the way, we can do the same thing also here in our update. Okay, we can do something like this, and also we can do the same. Well, in the get we don't need to do. Okay, that's good, in the update is good. So now let's save this. So first of all, let's go here, and we had update here. So let's say I want to update about 25 user ID 25 that does not exist. So I should be getting this kind of warning saying it does not exist, because otherwise it will try to update something that does not exist, and we have to handle those errors. And error handling is one of the crucial part in backend. The next thing, we continue with our delete here, and then we just want to remove that user from there. Okay, so removing is pretty simple. So all we can do is we can have users, and users will be users dot filter, and then we have user where u.id is not equals to id. So that means we will get in users every users except the users that we wanted to delete here. And now when we want to do response dot status, we can do 200, and then we can send user deleted. In this scenario, I will also like to tell you that there is something called idempotence, that is there are certain function or route that you can call as many times as you want and the value will not change. So for example, delete is the one that when you send a delete request, if there is data existed, it will delete that data once. After that, no matter how many times you make a request, it will not do anything because that data does not exist anymore. So it will just return you this user does not exist. For the first time, it will return user deleted, and after that, no matter how many thousands, million times you make a request, it will just say this. Similarly, there is also a get method. So the get method, no matter how many times you run this get method, you will get the same value, or it will actually not make any effect in your database or somewhere. However, the post method is different. For example, if you make post 2 times, then it will post users like twice. This is a get request. No matter how many times I will hit enter, it will have the same impact. However, in the post request, if I do once, it is 11. If I do another, this is 12. If I do another, it is 13. So every time when you make a post request, it is actually changing it. So the number of the time you make the request actually matters. All right, so now let's go and let's handle the delete here. You have delete, and you don't need to pass, and you cannot pass any body parameter in delete. So you can only pass body parameters in post and put, but you cannot do it in get, and you cannot do it in delete. Obviously, there are other ways to handle. For example, you can pass more params in query params. Like, for example, you can do equals, and you can say name is something and so on. But for now, let's not go to that direction. Okay, so in this case, let's go here. We have all the users, up to 14 users. Now we are trying to delete the user one. So let's go here, let's delete, and it says user deleted. That's the first request we made. Now if I make second request, it says user does not exist. If I make third request, it says user does not exist. And now if we go here and if we check it, the user should be gone. You can see now we have user 2, but we don't have user 1. And if I go here, if I go and delete user 2, it's first time user deleted, 200 success. After that, it just says 404 not found because that user is already deleted. We can verify here. You see the user is gone. Obviously, once again, I'm repeating this again and again. These are all temporary changes. Every time we refresh or restart our server, all the data from our initial variable will still exist. However, with this, now you know how to handle all these 4 methods, which are super important methods, and how to do the data. In real case scenario, now if you are a little bit used to with database, then you can already make a database connection, for example MongoDB or any other database, and then you can already have users posting and everything. All you need to do is just change the function inside here so that you will be getting, in this case, data from database, all the users. In this case, you will be getting, instead you probably don't even need to do this kind of filter. You can directly make a database request to get a user with ID, okay, with an ID. Then you can add new users, so you can just make a post request, or you can have a data posted in your database, and then it can return the data that you just posted, and hopefully there will be an ID. And then you can update the information, so you just need to do database change, whether it's SQL or Mongo or whatever database you are using, and same thing with delete. So with this, we are at the end of our very first backend with Node.js video, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have followed me today throughout this video, then you already know now how to handle different kind of routes, and now you can attach all these routes instead of Postman. Here you can actually use this params or URL, and you can make the request from your front end. Okay, you might be getting some course warning. In that case, you just need to use app use and then install some course there, and then do that, which we will be coming in our future videos. We'll be also dealing how to do login and authentication, and then actually attach an Excel database, and then combine it with front end, and then actually do the full stack. Okay, so if that sounds good and if that's what you are looking for, hit the like button, subscribe this channel, hit the notification bell icon, and comment it out if you have any request, or even if you just like the video, just say you like the video. That will really help me motivate it and also create a new video in future. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will be back with another videos in future. Keep coding. Bye bye.